Anybody who comes in today gets that greeting. Merry Christmas. Hey guys, before we get in today, we have a lot to go through today. We have a lot to get ready for, considering this is our last couple of classes together. And we have some decisions to make that don't really affect me one way or the other, but could work, some decisions that could work out in your favor, guys. All right, today we're going to be starting chapter 10, but we're going to be reviewing chapter 7. If you will recall, the original plan was to do chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7 as a test this week, and then whatever we cover will be on the final exam. I'm going to give you an option how we might be able to handle this another way, but you guys are going to make the decision on this for everybody. Guys, Merry Christmas! Ho, ho, ho! If you guys will recall, we had chapter 6, we had an assignment that was due last Wednesday. If you haven't gotten that in yet, late points are going to start to apply because that was due last Wednesday. Guys, tonight we have the Chapter 8 and 9 online quiz that is due. Open book, open notes. Please don't forget to do that. And on Friday, we have your community engagement reflection is due. That's 10 easy points. All you have to do is say what you learned from your community engaged experience. And those of you who are traveling with me tomorrow, raise your hand if you're going with me tomorrow. All right, guys, give me about 5 minutes after class. We'll end class early enough to discuss this a little. We're going to be, listen up, guys. Guys who are traveling, we're going to be meeting at 12:15 tomorrow, JFK Information Desk. 12:15 sharp. Nice St. Francis shirt or a polo shirt. Nice jeans. Casual but nice. Guys, so don't forget, file your community hours, your service hours if you haven't done them yet, and also do your reflection. That's due this Friday. Now, guys, my original plan was whatever we're going to cover this week, we would do for the final exam, meaning you would have a one-chapter final exam. I'm going to offer you two options here, though, guys. We can either stop this Wednesday to take the test on chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7, or we could add chapter 10 to that and do them all for the final next week, which would give you from now till next Wednesday to study instead of having to study this week. It doesn't affect me either way. It's just a matter of moving some content around on my end. So your two options would be we take a test on chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7 this week, Wednesday or Friday, and we do one chapter in the final next week, or we do 5 chapters on the final next week, knowing you get a full review for all those anyway. Yes, ma'am?
Are both of the exams come the same? Like, you have 100%. You have 2 exams.
Yeah.
Both have 100%.
Guys, Merry Christmas! Ho, ho, ho! So, please ask your question.
You have 2 exams. Both will have like 100%. Or we only...
That is correct. It would be, I equally weight all the exams no matter how many chapters are on. So meaning, yes, you would have the option of having, we have to do this before we continue. Merry Christmas! Ho, ho, ho! All right, there we go. It would count equally, one standalone, or if they were 2 separate exams. They would count equally in terms of they'd be averaged over the total number of tests. Just like the online test that's due tonight counts as a full test grade. Does that make sense? Okay. So the options I'm asking you guys to consider: do we take a test this week and then take a final on one exam next week, or do we Merry Christmas? Ho ho ho! Very good. So maybe that wasn't such a great idea. So what I'm asking you guys to do is to vote. Guys, you have 2 options. We can either do the chapters 4 to 7 test this Wednesday or this Friday. It doesn't really matter to me. You have a 1-chapter test next week for the final, or we could include all the chapters in a single test, which means you have up until next Wednesday to study, because that's when our final exam is. Can I ask you for your vote on this so we can make a decision? You go to pollev.com/KentTalkin063. pollev.com/KentKentTonkin063. And when I said Wednesday, we can do it Wednesday or Friday. We can vote on that too. Because again, it makes no difference to me. I have to do the test regardless. And if you guys would prefer to do that, that's fine with me. finals next Wednesday.
And you said that we can instead of this Wednesday, this Friday.
Yeah, we'll vote on that momentarily too. We're being very democratic today. Has everybody had a chance to vote? Yeah, I was going to say we don't want to come down to a 50-50 on this thing. So just to be clear, what you're voting on is either taking a test this week and then taking a test next week versus taking all the chapters next week. Making sure everybody gets a chance to vote. Is anybody who has not voted yet? Okay. I think we have enough of a majority here. We have enough of a majority where we're going to take the chapter 4, 5, 6, and 7 test this week. You'll have a one chapter final next week. Guys, I originally scheduled that test for this Wednesday. We're going to do this. Oh, good Lord. Seriously, is everybody done voting? Otherwise, I think somebody's just messing with us now. Are you guys all done voting? All right. It's going to be this week. I have verbally said it. We're there, so we're taking it this week. By show of hands, we're going to ask if you would rather do Wednesday or Friday. Who here would rather do Wednesday? Who here would rather do Friday? Okay. The deal is we're going to do our review today. I will send out the study guide today. You guys will have from now till Friday for 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to cover chapter 10 today and Wednesday. And I will send you a study guide specific to that chapter, and that will be our final next Wednesday. So I still have to give a final in this class. Are we all clear? All right. Are you guys clear on everything we need to get done? Okay. Guys, what I'm going to be asking you to do today, Corey, you are our neutral scorekeeper, so come on up. We're doing our chapter 7 review. And this is a high-stakes game. This is a high-stakes game. You guys over here on this side need to deliver today or you're out of the bonus points if you tie it up. Because that will be a 2 and 2. If you tie it up, we're going to have to do a tiebreaker question to decide the whole thing. So chapter 7 review, we're going to start off. Actually, let me borrow that marker back, sir. Thank you. Teams, I am thinking of a number between 1 and 20. What number am I thinking of? Team furthest away from me. Yes. So we got a guess for 15. What do we have on the team closest to me? Out of 1 to 20. You guessed 14? It was exactly 14. So you guys are going first. Thank you, Corey. All right, team closest to me. Matching KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities of individuals with the characteristics of jobs. Is that person, job fit, person, organization fit, attraction, selection, attrition, or career matchmaking? What do you think, team closest to me? A is correct. Team 2. When perceptions of good or bad fit in one area of work spill over onto beliefs about fit in other areas of the organization. Is that spiraling, spillover, crossover, or negative bias? Perceptions of good or bad fit. What do you say, guys? Gotta go here, guys. We got 5, 4, 3, 2. What's your answer? It is spillover. Incorrect. All right, team closest to me. Blank equals a measurable or visible indicator of selection criteria. Is that predisposition, KSAs, predictors, or performance factors? Team closest to me. What is your answer? D is incorrect. It's predictors. All right, team 2. Which of the following is not a predictor? Experience, past performance, motivation, or references? The answer is C. Good, because it's correct. You cannot measure motivation. Okay, team closest to me. Index number that gives the relationship between a predictor variable and a criterion variable. Is that validity, predictability, predictor, or correlation coefficient? What do you say, team closest to me? Take a guess. Say it loud. D is correct. All right. Process through which a job applicant receives an accurate picture of the job, team 2. Is that a realistic job preview, an internship, job shadowing, or pre-employment screening? A is correct. All right, we got our first bonus question. This is the team closest to me. What company had 2 executives get kicked off a plane for being drunk and disorderly? Talked about them in class. BlackBerry is correct. All right, team 2. What is BlackBerry's global market share? If that is correct, less than 1%. You guys both got the bonuses.
For the bonus, is it 2 points or
Just one each. Yep. So we got a tie game still. All right. Before having applicants fill out application forms, employers conduct a blank to determine if the applicants meet minimum qualifications. Is that a realistic job preview, a pre-employment screen, a drug screen, or a pre-employment test? B is correct. All right, team 2, true or false? E-screening makes sense for small companies who perform few hires. That is false. All right, team 1, the right of an employer or an employee to quit or terminate without cause. Is that employment at will, collective bargaining, EEOC, or contingent employment rights? Team closest to me. A is correct. All right, which of the following, team 2, which of the following questions is illegal to include on an application form? What are the dates of your last employment? What kinds of training do you have? What are references we can call? When did you graduate high school? D is correct. Team 1, true or false? Anonymous applications can help reduce the risk of discriminatory hiring or recruiting. That is true. Team 2, true or false? It is commonly acceptable to use a polygraph test on potential hires. That is false. All right. Next bonus question, team 1. On how many boards would you have to break to equal a person's skull? We covered this right before Thanksgiving, or right before the mid-semester break. How many boards would you have to punch through to equal a person's skull? When I was teaching you guys how to break boards. Oh, take a guess. What's your guess, guys? We got a guess for 3. If you had said 2, you got the points. It's two boards. All right, team 2. How long does the average recruiter look at a resume?
2 seconds.
We had 2 seconds. That's close enough. 2 to 3 seconds. All right, team 1. Consistency across different interviewers. Is that intra-rater reliability, inter-rater reliability, validity, or coefficient validity? Is it inter, validity, coefficient validity? This side of the room. Which is the consistency across different people interviewing? What do you think, guys? Go for it. You think it's B? Well, that's good because that's correct. All right. Which of the following, team 2, is not an advantage of structured interviews? They ensure that the interview has similar information on each candidate. They have greater consistency in evaluation of all candidates. Individual work performance can be better forecasted or allows for improvisational lines of questioning. Say that again. Say it again. My hearing's terrible. You got to tell me again what you said. You said B as in boy? D as in dog? Okay. Well, good, because it's the right answer. Guys, don't fear this stuff. All right, team 1. True or false? A semi-structured interview is designed to create anxiety and put pressure on applicants to see how they respond. Is that true or false, Team 1? That is false. That's a stress interview. All right, Team 2. Nodding in agreement during an interview is appropriate for an interviewer. I think it's true. No, it's false, guys. You're not supposed to give out that information. You're giving false hope if you nod too much. All right. Next round of bonus questions. Here we have Team 1. What was the name of the burger-making robot we discussed earlier in the semester? Flippy is correct. Good memory. All right, let's see if Team 2 can come up with a bonus question. The man who created the lie detector also created what? That is correct. Wonder Woman. All right. Team 1, which of the following is not a poor interview technique? Is it snap judgments, negative emphasis, open-ended questions, or halo effect? That is correct. All right, Team 2, an employer becomes aware that an employee may be unfit for work but continues to employ the person and the person injures someone. Is that negligent hiring, negligent retention, OSHA violation, or halo effect? What do you think, guys? Give me an answer, guys. What is your final answer? Is that your answer, B? B is correct. All right. Team 1, true or false? The ADA prohibits the use of pre-employment exams until a job has been conditionally offered. Is that true or false? So ADA prohibits the use of pre-employment exams until a job has been conditionally offered. Is that true or false? Don't overthink it. It is true. There's a difference between having somebody get a physical exam and then proving that they can do the job. Proving that they can do the job is not necessarily an exam. Yes?
But they can give you like tests.
Yes. We're talking about physical exams.
Okay.
Yep. So, and the exception to that rule would be, for example, if it's the state police or something that has physical fitness requirements. But generally speaking. All right. Team 2, which is not a reason for a previous employment check, is to prevent negligent hiring, to prevent unethical work conduct, to see if a person is disabled, or to follow state and federal regulations. Which is not a reason for checking somebody's references. Please, whoever's watching videos, please turn that off. What's your answer, guys? What's your answer? C is correct. All right, true or false, Team 1? Any person who has expressed interest in the job should be considered an applicant. True or false? What do you think, guys? We got to go for an answer here, guys. In 5, 4, 3. What's your answer, guys? So you're saying false? It's true. All right. How do our scores work out? We have a tie. We have a dead tie.
2 questions extra.
What's that?
It started in the last question. We have 1 question.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. That's why you pick numbers. It's not always even questions,
You don't
guys.
have an even number of questions.
Not always. Not always. But here's the deal. That's okay. If we got a tie, that means we got a tiebreaker, which means we need 2 tiebreakers, because if you guys win, that means we still have to do a tiebreaker. So here's the way we're going to do it. Because we have till Friday till we have this test, I'm going to come in this class on Wednesday with 2 questions, and we'll come up with a way to break this tie. But right now, it's sudden death. So be ready on Wednesday. Thank you for keeping the score, Corey. All right, guys, before we get in today, what we're going to be talking about next is performance management and appraisal. But because my voice is already a little fatigued, I need to stop for a question or comment before we get in. Guys, will somebody ask a question or make a comment? What would you like to talk about before we get in for 20 minutes? Sir.
I watched Joker.
And?
I mean, I thought it was good. So I just want my mom. She was saying how they always change the background word. So how do you feel
When they in the original 1989 film, they were dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight. Yeah, and that was Jack Nicholson's take on the Joker. The original character who killed Batman's parents wasn't the Joker in the comic books. It was a guy named Joe Chill. So the continuity has to reset all the time because you do have a character that's been around for 80 years, and the Joker's been around for like 79. You got to reinterpret him. I'm okay with him changing it once as well because you got to keep it interesting. Like, have you ever heard of a cartoon called Batman Beyond? Yeah. It's a really cool concept, the idea of an old man, Bruce Wayne, mentoring a new guy to become Batman. I love when people reinterpret stuff, and I love the movie. Did you find it to be creepy?
Oh
yeah.
I kind of felt bad for him. Like that's one of those things. Like when they started the movie, the kids took the sign and like jumped him out.
Let's just say
You just saw it?
Yeah, exactly.
let's just say we see a guy get the crap beat out of him repeatedly.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for him. Like he was kind of like victim.
Yeah, I felt bad for him too. It shows what happens when people get marginalized. Yes.
So, trying to think how to talk about this in a story. So, do you think she was actually crazy, or did it actually happen?
That's a good.
We never got to get a good look at the paperwork, did we?
No.
Anything's possible. That would be an interesting, without giving any spoilers to Corey, this would be an interesting wrinkle if that came true. So, Corey, you got to see this movie before the week is out so we can talk about it.
I know.
All right. But good question, and I will gladly give you my opinion anytime we're not around people who are going to have the movie spoiled for them. But guys, we're going to be moving at a good clip. We have 20. Actually, we have a half hour together, and we're going to make a pretty good clip today, guys. Who here has ever been through a performance appraisal with an employer where they told you what you did right and did wrong? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, guys. We do performance appraisals all the time in academia. We grade your papers. You guys give us performance appraisals. You give us idea evals. It's the idea of saying, can we tell people what they're doing well, where they need to get better, and can we develop our workforce into people we really want? Guys, in terms of performance management, it's important because people are motivated by different things, and it's not always money. Sometimes it's how am I doing? Am I doing a good job? Do I feel like I'm accomplishing something? We also want to make sure that we're evaluating what we're spending money on, which is people and training programs and all these things. We're going to talk about performance information and the different ways we use performance evaluations, whether it is trying to develop people to execute strategy, whether it is deciding if we're paying people differently or getting rid of people, and how we're also going to use these kinds of appraisals to make people into better employees. We're going to talk about the different ways in which we can appraise somebody's performance. For example, I appraise your performance in the classroom and beyond several different ways. How do I evaluate you guys? Tests for sure. I test you on memorization and basic concepts. Are there other things I evaluate? Yeah, well, attendance and participation and writing. Some people are really good test takers but are not good writers. Some people are really good writers but are not good test takers. Some people aren't good test takers or writers, but they're great in class and they participate. And that's why we try to mix it up on what we score people on. It's the same in the workplace. We also want to talk about the ways we can rate people based on ranking or comparison and the things that people do wrong when we score or evaluate people. So we're going to be talking all about performance evaluation. So what is performance management? What it comes down to is letting people know what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. Where can you use work? Where can you use development? What are you doing well on the other hand of things? I've said this repeatedly when I've talked about it in this class. One of the biggest mistakes we make in Western culture is not telling people when they're doing something right. We want to tell people what they're doing right so they keep doing it and they feel like they've done the right things. We also want to make sure we're telling people these are areas where you can improve that are going to be good for you and good for the company. That's why we do performance management. One of the biggest things we also make a mistake in, let's say, for example, at the end of this class, you guys walked in for your final exam, and before you take your final exam, I said, good news, everybody. Everybody's getting an 88 in here, no matter what. How would you feel about that? everybody's getting an 88. I don't care what you got on all your papers or what all the work you did or what you didn't do. Everybody gets the same score. Why would that be so demotivating? Yes? Yeah, and let's say, for example, I was that guy who didn't. I'd be like, hot damn, I thought I was going to get a 68. I'm getting an 88. Score, you know? And so you encourage people who are what we refer to as free riders, who get a free ride up because nothing is coming back to haunt them. And you have folks who are good performers who all of a sudden realize all that work I put in all semester didn't mean anything. And so performance evaluations have to mean something. They have to give rewards where they are due. They have to show that the organization has standards. They have to mean something. They have to have consequences. Whether it's pay, whether it's promotion, whether it is recognition, there needs to be something tied to performance. And they also need to give us an opportunity to talk to our employees. Guys, one of the old standards for performance management was you got together with your manager 3 times a year. You got together at the first part of the year. Here's your goals for the year. This is what we need you to do. We get together in the middle to say, well, this is how you're doing so far. And we get together at the end to say, this is how you did. Is that enough? Is that frequent enough? What are your thoughts? Brandon, you're shaking your head. What do you think? Yeah, tell me why. Because I agree with you. I don't think it's frequent enough either. Anybody else? Yes, Richard. Yeah, things can change really rapidly. Let's say, for example, that my boss, Dr. Fry, got together with me in August and then didn't get together with me again until December. What's happened between August and December? An entire semester. So if I was screwing up 5 or 6 classes I'm teaching for an entire semester, the damage is done. There's no fixing it. So more frequent feedback is good for the employee and the employer. And here's one of the other things to also consider. You guys are members collectively of Gen Z and the millennial generation. You guys are accustomed to getting more feedback. My generation, not so much. So we're making younger employees feel more included in this process as well. So in terms of how this stuff all fits in, this diagram is right out of our text. I'm not going to read it to you, but I am going to describe what happens here. Ultimately, performance management means we know what we expect of our employees, and we communicate it, and we help them get there. If we are using organizational strategies, that means if we are Apple or if we're BMW, we expect high amounts of performance from our organization. Our strategies for performance management are going to demand high levels of performance. The employee's performance is based on how they are managed. Are they encouraged to do well? Are they rewarded for performing well? Do we have high performance? If we have high performance, all of a sudden we have people who are getting good outcomes. They're getting recognized. They're getting paid better. They're getting the training and development they need. That produces results for the organization. If the organization is operating well, we can upgrade our strategy and be even more demanding on our people and make higher and bigger goals. It's all one big cycle, and the heart of it is telling people what they're doing right and where they need to work on getting better. So it can be very challenging. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this other than to say culturally it can be very sensitive. I won't dwell on specific cultures, but there are parts of the world where conflict is not appreciated. You have a very hard time in some cultures giving somebody direct feedback on what they need to change or improve because people take it personally. In our Western culture, we tend to be very direct. And in most businesses, it's okay to tell people what they need to fix. For example, if you are in a performance-based culture, which we are here in the United States, the clearer you can make it for people what it takes to get a promotion, what's expected of you in an organization, and what constitutes good performance, the better off your employees will be. Here's something that's not popular to talk about. Not every employee is going to be an awesome employee. Just like not every person is going to be a straight A student, and not everybody is going to be good at everything. You can have somebody who's a B or C grade employee who can still do good by your organization because they're performing the work that needs to get done. So you need to have objective standards. Instead of comparing people, if all we did was compare people to high performers and we graded everybody on a curve, it might be hard for a lot of people to pass classes or to pass work examinations, for example. But we need to have a clear and focused culture that emphasizes performance and emphasizes standards, and has people who are trained to be able to administer that kind of management. There are things that can constitute performance. For example, if you work in a factory, the quality and quantity of what you're putting out. Or for that matter, if you work in a university, I'm evaluated based on the marks that you guys get. Am I putting on students who are scoring well on test scores? Are they evaluating the classes well, for example? Is somebody on time? Are they efficient? Are they doing the things that they're paid to do really well? For example, if you're evaluating somebody's performance, if you're evaluating my performance in the classroom is going to be weighed more heavily in my evaluation than my performance in advising a Greek club or another organization. Because it's more important. It's weighted heavier. It carries a higher weight because it's what I was hired to do. Then we also have other ways that we can get performance out of people in terms of what we would evaluate. We can evaluate somebody's character to a degree, somebody personable. For example, can somebody tell me a position other than an instructor where somebody's personality would affect their success in the job? Yes? Yeah, for sure. If you don't have personality, whether, and people have different preferences on types of personalities, but you got to be somewhat of an extrovert. I can't even imagine an introvert politician working out in any way, shape, or form. What's another place where somebody's character or way of conveying themselves could affect their success? Yes? Yeah, people have to have outgoing personalities. Or for that matter, if you're working as a waiter or a waitress, for example, to have the right personality to be able to deal with a high-stress environment, that would be a trait that would go along with your skills. Some of the things that we also look at, are people good at working in teams? Do they have positive attitudes? Do they have the same values or organization? Well, those are things that are inherent to the person. You can try to bring out the best in them, but you can't really control them. You can, however, control somebody's behavior. How many of you, by show of hands, have ever dealt with somebody who is being nice to their face, but you know they're not a nice person? Yes, you can control somebody's behavior. You can make people who are not nice people be nice to the public with the right amount of training. It might not be something they ever enjoy, but you can get the right behavior out of them. More importantly, in most jobs, that we're looking at results. Are employees accomplishing what we want them to accomplish? Do they have the right skill sets? Are they able to show us they can get the job done? Here's a trick, guys. If you know somebody who's a computer programmer, for example, they may have the worst personality skills in the world. And I'm stereotyping programmers because I've worked with a few programmers. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It means they're maybe not extroverts. But you would not score one of those people, for example, more highly on their traits. You score them on their performance. Did this person get the code done? Did they deliver the project? Did they deliver what the customer ordered? We have salespeople and customer service reps to deal with the public. We're looking at somebody's individual performance. In most companies, unless you are facing the public, results speak louder than anything. Although it's important to have good personality too. When we talk about performance standards, do we have standards that people can actually live up to? Do we have standards that are measurable and easily understood? A couple years ago, Wells Fargo got into some trouble. Anybody remember what happened with Wells Fargo? Why they got in trouble with the general public? What happened?
I believe like basically the workers had like expectations and requirements that were just really unrealistic. So it kind of forced them to like forge numbers and like do practices that like weren't.
That's an excellent summary. And what it came down to is that account reps for Wells Fargo were being asked to hit unrealistic goals in terms of establishing new accounts, getting people to open bank and credit card accounts and insurance accounts and everything else. So what did they start doing? Because they could not possibly meet those performance standards, they started creating fake accounts to hit their own numbers. That's what happens sometimes when you have poor ethics and poorly defined or understood performance standards. These standards should be realistic, they should be measurable and clearly understood. Those are all things that should go into any standard. And when you get hired for a company, everybody should know what's expected of them. Otherwise, how are you possibly going to be able to live up to something you don't understand the value of? In terms of, this is an example how we might evaluate somebody who's working in wait staff, for example. This person was working very well. They might have demonstrated ability to multitask very well, that they're serving the food and the drinks at the right time, that they're clearing the table, that they're checking in with the customers. Having these kinds of standards written down give people a way to understand this is what's expected of them. If we get somebody who's acceptable, for example, in the same position, maybe they're checking on the table once in a while, that they're taking the order in a timely manner, not necessarily right after the person sits down, and that they're checking in with the individuals once in a while. There's a difference between superior and excellent versus somebody who's working at an acceptable level. And then we get to somebody who needs improvement. So somebody who comes around once in a while, checks on you, if it's okay with them, maybe takes your order if you're ready, is doing the bare minimum to get by and not living up to our standard of excellence. Those, again, are very clearly defined what you need to do. So all of this plays into what we refer to as a performance appraisal. It gives us a chance to talk about what somebody's doing right and what somebody is doing wrong. Anytime you get a paper back from me, and I've left comments on it for you, I do my damnedest, by the way, to make sure I'm not just doing critical stuff. I like to tell people when they're doing something right as well. So it's a chance to give people feedback. Feedback and performance appraisal should not just be, you're doing these things wrong. It should be, this is what I saw in your work that was great. This is where you could use some improvement. Here are some suggestions how you might improve. And so all of these things, the performance appraisal should help people become better. We can also use this stuff to be able to build a case, for example, that this person deserves a raise. Or conversely, this person maybe needs development or discipline, or at the ultimate extreme, maybe this person shouldn't work here anymore. Particularly for those of you who are in my Management 203 class, all this stuff gets documented to use as justification in a collective bargaining agreement to get rid of somebody who's a member of a labor union as well. So there is the negative side of performance evaluation as well, that it can be used, for example, to get rid of something. A couple more points before we wrap up for today. The strategic use of appraisal basically means, all right, we're Apple Computer, and we know we want to be here by next year. Are we developing employees who are right here, right now, who can get here by tomorrow? These are our goals. Can our people reach them? If not, can we find ways to grow them into the folks who can? That's a strategic use of appraisal. You know what your company's goals are, and you're growing your people or refining them to be able to meet those goals. Administrative basically means that we're looking back to see, did somebody show up on time? Do they deserve a raise? Are these things that we can use to hire or fire new people, or give somebody, for example, a bonus? And developmental also means that we're looking back how we can grow and fix people as well. So strategic, big picture of the company. Administrative, rewarding people. New titles. Developmental means we're fixing people, helping grow them, addressing the problem. Before we go on, guys, we have about another 5 minutes together. I need one more question before we go into our last lightning round. What is one more question or comment that somebody in the room has? Any questions or comments? Is anybody in this room from the Pittsburgh region, by the way? Anybody from Pittsburgh? So have you guys ever seen the Eaton Park Christmas commercial? You know the one I'm talking about with the tree? Nobody in my 9 a.m. class had ever seen that commercial before. I'm going to share that data. It's a classic, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's 40 years.
My entire life. It is a classic. They haven't changed it.
It brings home the meaning of the season. So I'm going to share that commercial for you guys to get you in the spirit of the holidays when we're done here. But any questions or comments before we jump in, guys? All right, guys. In terms of ethics, first, having a code of ethics in your organization can mean a few things when it comes to performance management. A performance management review can be an opportunity, if you're a manager, and you got an axe to grind to somebody, to really stick it to them. This person is somebody I don't like. They're doing fine in the company. I just don't personally like them, so I'm going to give them a terrible evaluation. Hopefully I can railroad them out. That's an unethical use of a performance evaluation. And we got to train people on that stuff. The other part of it is we can also back up our ethics codes in our performance evaluation by recognizing when people have acted ethically, by rewarding them. Hey, I remember talking whenever you found that clerical error that saved the company $5,000. You could have let it go, but you pursued it, you took it up the chain. we're going to reward you with a promotion or a reward for doing something good. Communicating that we value ethics and that we're willing to reward it also can make us have a more ethical company culture as well. So in terms of deciding how we do performance evaluations and which ways that we do them, I think it makes a lot of sense for HR as a central part of our organization to sub this stuff out to individual departments. Why do I feel that? Why might it be better for Dr. Miko or Dr. Fry to do my performance evaluation than somebody from HR? He knows me better, he knows my job, he knows what I do every day. If you take somebody in who doesn't know anything about the way a job works and ask them to evaluate, even if they've read the description on paper, they're not there all the time. I think it makes a lot of sense to get people in that department to do their own appraisals. And we've got lots of ways we can do it. Informal appraisals, Dr. Fry does these every day. He'll walk around. How you doing, Mr. Tonkin? How you doing, Dr. Seidel? How are things in your classroom? He's not writing anything down. He's not scoring me on a scoring chart, but he's checking in with me. That's an informal appraisal. It's wonderful. And then we've got systematic appraisals, which means, yes, we get together at specific times of the year and we go through what my performance is like. How are we doing? It's a good thing to do in terms of documentation. Some people have the timing of these appraisals that we do it once or twice or even 3 times a year. But more frequent is good, even if you're augmenting the formal ones with less formal ones throughout the year. And we also have to determine who's going to give input. I don't just get evaluated by my boss. You guys evaluate me. Other people in the department come in and evaluate my performance as well. And to me, that makes perfect sense. What we're going to do there, guys, at this point, because we're making some good progress, here is our plan. We're going to call the lecture there today, so I have a couple minutes to meet with those of us who are going to the Center for Community Action for tomorrow. We're going to do our tiebreaker on Wednesday to see who gets the extra points. And by the vote, on Friday we're going to do an exam, and on next Wednesday we're going to do another exam. Next Wednesday will be very short. You'll get a review for the exam for Friday later today. You also have due tonight the online quiz for chapters 7 and 8, I believe. It is due tonight at midnight. It's open book, open notes. Just get a perfect score on it, boost your test grade. The last assignment you have due in this class is to have a reflection on your service. If you haven't followed your service hours, get that done. But we have a reflection that's due this Friday. Any questions, guys? It's a lot. We're closing up the semester strong. Ma'am? I have to go back and look. If you go to schedule of classes on My Francis and look at the fall 2019 schedule or 2019 schedule, the schedule of final exams is on like page 2. I'll be announcing it repeatedly though. I will definitely check it. I'm pretty sure it's 8 a.m. What's that? I'll check to be sure, but trust me, we'll get it together. Any other questions, guys? All right, if you're traveling with me, hang around. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you later. Be safe out in the snow.